Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving into the world of AI in healthcare.
It's a hot topic for sure.
Absolutely. And we've got some great sources to guide us. An academic journal article and a comprehensive literature review, both really digging into how AI is already being used and what the future might hold.
Sounds like a good mix.
It is. So to kick things off, maybe we can start by clearing up some of the jargon. We hear a lot about AI, machine learning, deep learning. What's the difference?
Well, you can think of it like this. AI, or artificial intelligence, is the big umbrella. It's any technology that allows computers to do things that normally require human intelligence, like problem solving or learning.
Okay, so where does machine learning fit in?
Machine learning is a type of AI where computers learn from data. So instead of being programmed with specific rules, they can actually improve their performance over time as they're exposed to more data.
So it's like they're learning on the job.
Exactly. And then there's deep learning, which is a more advanced form of machine learning. It uses something called artificial neural networks, which are inspired by the way our brains work.
Okay, so deep learning is where things get really interesting.
It is where a lot of the really cutting-edge advancements are happening.
So how is all of this actually playing out in the real world of healthcare? Are we talking about robots replacing doctors anytime soon?
Not quite, at least not yet. The way I see it is AI is more of a powerful tool that can help doctors do their jobs even better.
Okay, so give us an example. How is AI actually being used in hospitals right now?
Well, there are hospitals in Southeast England that are using AI-powered armbands to monitor patients after they've been discharged. These armbands track things like vital signs and activity levels, and the data is analyzed in real time by an AI system.
So it's like a virtual nurse keeping an eye on patients even when they're not in the hospital.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if the AI detects anything unusual, it can alert doctors right away, which can help prevent complications and readmissions.
That's pretty impressive. So AI is helping to keep patients safer even after they leave the hospital.
Hmm.
Are there other ways AI is being used to improve patient outcomes?
Definitely. Grady Hospital in Atlanta started using an AI system to identify patients who are at high risk of being readmitted to the hospital.
I can see how that would be useful.
It is. This proactive approach has actually helped them save about $4 million.
Wow, that's a significant saving.
And then there's Moorfields Eye Hospital in London. They're using an AI system to recommend treatments for over 50 eye diseases.
And how accurate is this AI?
Well, get this. It has an accuracy rate of 94%, which is pretty close to the level of expert specialists.
That's remarkable. Does this mean we're getting to a point where AI can actually diagnose patients better than human doctors?
Not so fast. While these AI systems are incredibly impressive, it's important to remember that they're still just tools. They can analyze vast amounts of data and identify patterns that humans might miss, but ultimately they're not a replacement for human judgment.
So the doctor's still in charge.
Absolutely. Especially in a field as complex as medicine. Even IBM's Watson, which is one of the most advanced AI systems designed for healthcare, has faced some criticism over its accuracy and consistency.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So AI can be a valuable assistant, but the human doctor is still calling the shots. One of the things we hear a lot about is how AI can make healthcare more efficient. What are your thoughts on that?
AI has the potential to really streamline a lot of processes in healthcare. One great example is Johns Hopkins Hospital. They've implemented an AI-powered command center that basically pulls in data from all their IT systems.
So it's like a central nervous system for the hospital.
Exactly. And it gives them a real-time comprehensive view of what's happening throughout the hospital, like bed availability, patient wait times, and staff allocation.
Sounds like a game changer.
It really is. They've been able to assign beds 30% faster and reduce delays and transfers from operating rooms by a remarkable 70%.
Those are impressive numbers. So AI can definitely help hospitals run more smoothly. But what about the human touch? What about the role of nurses and other caregivers? Will AI replace them too?
That's an interesting question. AI is being used in a lot of ways to support those roles as well. For example, there are virtual nursing assistants that can answer basic questions, remind patients to take their medications, and even provide a degree of emotional support.
So AI is freeing up nurses to focus on the more human aspects of their job.
Right. Exactly. They can spend more time building relationships with patients and providing that personalized care that's so important.
I like that idea. AI taking care of the routine tasks so nurses can focus on the human connection. Are there any real-world examples of this happening already?
Absolutely. Yuntaeong St. Mary's Hospital in South Korea has a robot that can transcribe medical records during rounds, so doctors don't have to spend all their time scribbling notes.
Makes sense. More time with patients, less time on paperwork.
Precisely. And in the same hospital, they have a guide robot named Maria.
A guide robot, what does that do?
Maria helps patients navigate the hospital, find their appointments, and provides basic information. It's like having a personal concierge.
AI as a hospital concierge. That's pretty clever.
Oh.
But let's be honest. One of the biggest fears people have about AI in healthcare is the possibility of misdiagnosis. Can we really trust machines to make life or death decisions?
I understand that concern, but there's actually evidence that AI can improve diagnostic accuracy in some cases. At the Guangzhou Women and Children's Medical Center in China, an AI system analyzed over 101 million data points from patient records, and you know what? It actually outperformed junior physicians in terms of diagnostic accuracy.
Yeah, AI outperforming human doctors. That's both impressive and a little scary.
It is. But it's important to note that the AI didn't outperform more experienced doctors. This study just highlights the potential for AI to assist doctors, especially those who are earlier in their careers, in making more accurate diagnoses.
So it's more about AI augmenting human expertise rather than replacing it.
Exactly. Now let's talk about cost. Everyone's worried about rising healthcare costs. Can AI help with that?
That's the million-dollar question.
Well, AI has the potential to make healthcare more affordable in a few ways. For example, AI-powered diagnostic tools could help detect diseases earlier when treatment is often less expensive.
That makes sense. Earlier diagnosis, earlier intervention, lower costs.
Right. And AI-assisted surgery can also reduce the risk of complications and shorten hospital stays, which also lowers costs.
So AI can help us save money on healthcare. What are some examples of how this is actually being done?
One really exciting development is the use of AI-embedded pill cameras. These tiny ingestible cameras can travel through the digestive system and send images back to doctors. This could potentially replace the need for endoscopies, which are much more invasive and expensive procedures.
That's fascinating. So it's like a tiny robot exploring your insides.
And researchers have also developed an AI system that can analyze bone marrow structure to diagnose acute leukemia, which could be a less expensive alternative to traditional diagnostic methods.
So AI is making healthcare more efficient, more accurate, and more affordable. But what about the impact on healthcare workers? Are all these robots going to take their jobs?
That's a question a lot of people are asking. But the reality is more nuanced. While some routine tasks may become automated, AI is also creating new opportunities in healthcare.
Give us an example.
Radiologists are often cited as a profession at risk of being replaced by AI. However, many experts believe that AI will actually free up radiologists to focus on more specialized tasks, like interpreting complex images and interacting with patients.
So instead of replacing radiologists, AI could actually make their jobs more interesting and patient-centered.
Right. And that's a trend we might see across healthcare AI taking over the routine tasks. So healthcare professionals can focus on the things that require uniquely human skills, like empathy and critical thinking.
That's a positive way to look at it. But with all this talk about AI's potential, we can't ignore the ethical considerations. If an AI system makes a mistake, who's responsible?
That's the million-dollar question, and there's no easy answer. It's similar to the debate surrounding self-driving cars. If a Tesla on autopilot causes an accident, who's at fault? The driver, the car manufacturer, the software developer, or maybe even the data the AI was trained on if it contained biases.
It's a tangled web of responsibility.
Right.
And when you apply that to healthcare where the stakes are so high, it becomes even more complex.
Absolutely. We need to start developing clear ethical frameworks and regulations for AI in healthcare. This includes addressing concerns about patient data privacy, ensuring algorithms are free from bias, and establishing clear lines of accountability when it comes to AI-driven decisions.
So patients can have confidence in the system and understand how AI is being used in their care.
Right. It's all about transparency and trust. But it's not just about protecting patients, it's also about empowering them. Imagine an AI system that predicts a patient's risk of developing a serious condition based on their genetic profile.
That could be life-saving. But it also raises concerns about potential discrimination. Could insurance companies use this information to deny coverage or charge higher premiums?
That's a valid concern, and it highlights the need for careful consideration and regulation. We need to ensure that access to healthcare is a right, not a privilege determined by algorithms.
You've mentioned the importance of addressing bias in algorithms. Can you explain what algorithm bias is and how it might impact healthcare?
Sure, algorithm bias happens when an AI system produces results that are systematically prejudiced due to flaws in the data it was trained on. For example, an AI system designed to predict heart disease risk might be less accurate for certain demographic groups if the data used to train the system wasn't representative of the population as a whole.
so it could perpetuate existing healthcare disparities.
Exactly. And that's something we need to be very careful about. We need to ensure that AI systems are designed and implemented in a way that promotes equity and fairness for all patients.
It's clear that AI has the potential to transform healthcare in many positive ways. But we also need to be aware of the potential pitfalls and proceed with caution.
I couldn't agree more. AI is a powerful tool. And like any tool, it can be used for good or for ill. It's our collective responsibility to ensure that AI development and implementation in healthcare prioritize human values and serve the best interests of patients and society as a whole.
That's a powerful message. This has been an incredibly insightful conversation so far.
Yeah.
What are some of the key takeaways you hope listeners are thinking about as we move into the next part of our deep dive?
I think the main takeaway is that AI is a powerful tool with the potential to revolutionize healthcare, from improving diagnostics and treatment to making healthcare more efficient and affordable.
Hmm.
However, we can't simply embrace AI without considering the potential downsides. We need to be thoughtful about its implementation, address the ethical concerns, and ensure that it ultimately complements and enhances human expertise and compassion, not replaces them.
I couldn't agree more. And I think our listeners will be fascinated to learn about the specific ways AI is already being used to diagnose and treat a wide range of conditions.
Oh,
That's exactly what we'll be exploring in part 2 of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
welcome back to our deep dive into AI and healthcare.
When we left off, we were talking about how AI could actually enhance the roles of healthcare professionals instead of making them obsolete.
Exactly. AI is a tool to augment human capabilities, not replace them.
And one area where we're seeing that play out is in diagnostics.
Right. AI is already helping doctors make more accurate diagnoses, and these systems are getting even smarter all the time.
How so?
Well, researchers at the University of Tokyo Medical School developed an AI system that combines deep learning with decision tree algorithms. And when they tested it on a group of patients, it achieved an accuracy rate of 87.3%.
That's really impressive. That's getting pretty close to the diagnostic accuracy of experienced doctors. What's the secret sauce? What makes these AI systems so good at what they do?
Data. The more data these AI systems are trained on, the better they become at recognizing patterns and making predictions. They can pick up on subtle clues that a human doctor might miss.
So it's all about the data. The more, the better.
Exactly. And it's not just about quantity, it's also about quality. The data sets used to train these AI systems need to be diverse and representative of the population as a whole.
So we don't want to create AI systems that are biased against certain groups of people.
Right. We need to make sure that AI benefits everyone equally. So when it comes to diagnostics, it's not just about crunching numbers, is it? AI can analyze all sorts of data, including medical images.
You mentioned radiology earlier and how some people are worried that robots will eventually replace radiologists.
I understand that concern, but AI isn't about replacing radiologists, it's about giving them superpowers. AI can analyze images much faster than humans can, so it can free up radiologists from those tedious tasks, like reviewing hundreds of x-rays every day.
That makes a lot of sense. So instead of staring at images all day, radiologists can spend more time with patients and focus on the more complex cases.
Exactly, and that's better for both the patients and the doctors. But AI isn't just about diagnostics, it's also transforming how we manage chronic conditions.
How so?
Well, imagine a future where AI can actually predict your risk of developing certain health problems before they even arise.
That sounds pretty futuristic. How is that even possible?
By analyzing huge amounts of data, everything from your lifestyle and genetics to your medical history, AI can start to identify patterns and predict your risk of developing certain conditions.
So we could potentially prevent diseases before they even start.
That's the idea. It's all about shifting the focus of healthcare from reactive to proactive, from treatment to prevention.
And I imagine AI-powered apps and wearable devices could play a role in that too.
Absolutely. These tools can help patients manage their conditions more effectively by tracking their symptoms, providing medication reminders, and even connecting them with their healthcare providers remotely.
So AI is giving patients more control over their own health.
Exactly. It's like having a personal health assistant right in your pocket. But we have to be careful not to lose sight of the human element in all of this.
That's a good point. AI shouldn't replace human connection in healthcare.
Absolutely. While AI can handle a lot of the routine tasks, it's still the human healthcare professionals who provide the empathy, the emotional support, and the personalized care that patients need.
So AI is a tool to augment human capabilities, not replace them.
Precisely. And it's important to remember that AI is still a very young technology. We're just scratching the surface of its potential in healthcare.
This has been a really eye-opening conversation. What are some key takeaways you want our listeners to think about as we head into the final part of our deep dive?
Well, I think the main takeaway is that AI has the potential to revolutionize healthcare in so many ways, from diagnostics and treatment to disease prevention and chronic condition management.
But we need to be thoughtful about how we implement it.
Exactly. We need to make sure that AI benefits all patients and enhances the role of healthcare professionals.
Well said. In part 3, we'll dive into some of the ethical challenges and societal implications of AI in healthcare. It's a conversation you won't want to miss. Welcome back to the deep dive.
We've been talking about all the amazing things AI can do in healthcare.
It's really mind-blowing, but as with any new technology, there are some ethical questions we need to grapple with.
Right. We can't just focus on efficiency and cost savings. We also need to consider the human side of things.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
For example, we've talked about how AI can help doctors make decisions. But what happens when an AI system makes a mistake? Who's ultimately responsible?
That's a tough one. Is it the doctor who relied on the AI's recommendation? The hospital that implemented the system? The company that developed the AI? Or maybe even the data itself, if it was biased?
It's a really tricky question, especially in healthcare, where the stakes are so high.
We're talking about people's lives here, so we need to establish clear ethical guidelines and regulations for AI in healthcare.
And what would those guidelines look like?
Well, they would need to address things like data privacy, algorithm bias, and accountability for AI-driven decisions.
So patients know their information is being protected and that the AI systems are being used fairly.
Right, transparency is key. But it's not just about protecting patients, it's also about empowering them. Imagine a future where AI can predict your risk of developing a serious illness based on your genes.
That could be incredibly valuable information. But it could also lead to discrimination, couldn't it? What's to stop insurance companies from using that information to deny coverage or charge higher premiums?
That's a valid concern, and it's something we need to be very careful about. We need to make sure that everyone has equal access to healthcare, regardless of their genetic predispositions.
AI should be used to level the playing field, not create new inequalities.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the issue of bias in algorithms.
Can you remind us what algorithm bias is and why it's so important in healthcare?
Algorithm bias happens when an AI system produces results that are unfair or inaccurate because of flaws in the data it was trained on. For example, an AI system designed to predict heart disease risk might be less accurate for women or people of color if the data used to train the system was primarily from white men.
So even though AI systems are based on math and logic, they can still perpetuate human biases if we're not careful.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to be aware of the potential for bias in AI systems and to take steps to mitigate it.
It's clear that AI has the power to transform healthcare in many positive ways, but we need to proceed with caution.
Absolutely. We need to balance the potential benefits of AI with the potential risks. We need to be thoughtful about how we design and implement these systems, and we need to have open and honest conversations about the ethical implications.
This has been a really fascinating and thought-provoking deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground from the technical details of AI to the broader societal implications. As we wrap up, what's the one key message you want our listeners to take away?
AI has the potential to revolutionize healthcare, but it's up to us to make sure it's used for good. We need to be mindful of the ethical challenges, and we need to work together to create a future where AI benefits everyone.
Well said. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the world of AI in healthcare. It's a topic that's going to become increasingly important in the years to come. So stay informed, stay engaged, and let's work together to shape a future where technology serves humanity.